Welcome to Ear Biscuits. I'm Rhett.
And I'm Link. Joining us this week at the round table of dim lighting, we have invited Mythical crew member Kevin to come in here.
Yes.
And we are going to have an intriguing conversation about the world's longest running treasure hunt on a haunted island.
Oh, the haunted part. Yeah,
Question mark?
It's up for
on
debate.
A very mysterious island.
It's at least mysterious. Incredibly intriguing conversation with Kevin about something very mythical. I mean, the reason that we're doing this, we actually asked Kevin to find something that he knew just based on his history with us and the kinds of things that we find interesting, to find something mythical for us to talk about.
Yeah.
Because I think that that's one of the things that Ear Biscuits is becoming, is a podcast where we explore mythicality.
Now, by mythical, we don't mean like fake or legendary stuff.
Do you know that? You're a mythical beast already.
But actually in writing the book of mythicality,
right,
we really started to understand what mythicality meant, what it means to be mythical. Creativity, curiosity, and tomfoolery being the tenets of mythicality. So we kind of hone in on the curiosity aspect of mythicality tonight with Kevin.
Yeah, so while we're talking about the book, we will let you know it is available for pre-order right now at bookofmythicality.com. And I think we've communicated this in a number of times as we've talked about the book, but maybe we haven't communicated it quite as fully as we could have, because I think a lot of people are like, I don't know what this book's gonna be. I trust that it's gonna be good if you guys are excited about it, but
I think whatever you think it's gonna be, it's in there, because everything that we could think of, like personal stories, weird illustrations, intriguing tales.
We poured a whole lot of ourselves in there, so I think it is one part memoir, so you get a lot of the things that we've shared growing up together and working together for years that we think have brought mythicality to our lives. But there's also just all kinds of things that we find mythical in the world, in history, and it's kind of tied into 20 different aspects of mythicality and kind of how we interact with those in our own lives, and then how we've seen other people embody those things. It was a blast to put together.
There is a whole chapter related to something akin to buried treasure.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not gonna,
don't give away too much.
I don't want to give away too much right now. It's not,
about burying something.
Yeah,
but
and how you can get involved in that.
But I think the point is that by writing the book, I think it brought more definition to what it is that we've been trying to do with all the work that we've done over the past decade together, and even beyond that, even before that. And it's also brought definition to what we want to do when we have a conversation on Ear Biscuits, the kind of things that we want to explore. So it all kind of works together. So if you're a mythical beast, if you've been a mythical beast for any amount of time, or if you're just finding this for the first time, we wrote the book so that you would enjoy it, but we are very confident that you're gonna enjoy it, so.
bookofmythicality.com in unison.
Yes.
You don't have to type in unison.
You can though.
I was just
But probably go to the wrong website.
I think it would like go to somewhere else.
It'll give you an error, an HTTP error.
If you got a slash in unison, it'll still take you to the right place.
That's a different website.
I don't know. So we're gonna talk to Kevin, tap into that curiosity that we all enjoy. But first I should give you an update. I wanna give you an update on my daughter Lily's major back surgery. Now that it's over, I want to thank all of you for your support, for your prayers, for your just your consideration. A lot of people you sent gifts and cards of encouragement to her, and it was all very touching, and it really helped. So the great news is that the surgery went exactly how we hoped. I mean, it went off without a hitch. She had severe scoliosis, which was her back was curved sideways like an S. I mean, looking at the x-rays, I mean, I talked about this on the other Ear Biscuits, so you can go back and listen to that. But it definitely floored us back in January. So a lot of this year has been leading up to the surgery, which as of the recording of this episode was 1 week ago. 1 week ago right now, we're moving into like her hospital room and for where she would spend the next 5 days. Now she's at home recovering. She's doing great. It's amazing how she can roll over in bed, roll out of bed, walk around, walk down our street, take pictures of flowers.
She's taking pictures?
That's what she likes to do.
I didn't think the doctor was
with the
allowing
spine.
that yet.
Taking pictures has very little to do with the fusion of your spine,
right?
Which was fused from L4 to, let's see, L's at
the bottom.
L's at the bottom, T's at the top.
Yeah.
T4 to L3, which is the vast majority of her back.
Yeah.
I mean, she's got a scar that she's very proud of, and we all are, that goes the majority of her back that's healing up great. But the fact that they went in there and they put 2 metal rods that they custom bent, they like smushed her spine to be back no longer in an S. They custom bent rods.
I don't even understand how they did that.
So she could have proper posture, and then they attached those rods using titanium screws, huge screws, into her vertebrae.
You know how many people—
And then 6 weeks after that, she's like fully recovered,
but here's
basically.
the thing. You know how many people they had to go through before they got to the point where they do it this way?
Oh, no, yeah.
Think about the first guy.
Oh my goodness. I mean, it wasn't—
They just opened up the back and they were like, what do we do now?
Maybe we'll push.
You pull this way, I'll pull
push
that
here.
way. And then he died. I mean, seriously.
Well, yeah. I mean, someone who's like a last resort type of thing.
That's
what my kids are asking. What happened? I think there's
people. For the vast majority of history, you just lived with it.
Maybe we could get a doctor in here to talk about that. Maybe Lily's doctor will come in here. Dr. Tolo, he was amazing.
But seriously though, for like 99.99% of human history, human history's 200,000 years or more.
And there's plenty of people who, you're saying, who lived with it and that was it.
I'm saying
absolutely.
The vast majority of people who've ever lived just lived with it, and wherever it ends up, because it increases over time. I know that's one of the reasons that you gotta correct it.
Right.
But then you just think, okay, you're born in 1950, and then they've got some sort of thing that they do. But you tell me that just
because
like
when
20 years
the curves
ago,
progress, you can't, I mean, it like smushes your organs in such a way that you die.
But like, you were saying that like 20 years ago, you'd be in a cast, like a full body cast, or maybe, I don't know, 30 years ago, whatever, for like 6 months.
Yeah.
And now they figured out that, if we get them moving right after, and they've got all these amazing medicines that they can give you, pain relievers and stuff.
So that you're able to get up and walk. I mean, the first night, let me tell you a little bit about the surgery, and then I'll get back to that point in terms of her recovery. But I just wanted to share the experience with you guys. I mean, we got up at like 4 a.m. to get to, I was about to say the airport. We didn't have to fly anywhere.
Right. Sometimes it feels like an airport.
To get to the hospital by like 5. You know, it wasn't until 7:45 that she went into surgery. So there's like all this prep and checking in and taking blood again and all this stuff. It's so nerve-wracking to know that, you know, okay, this is it. This is the moment we've been waiting for all year, and it's about to happen. I think she was most concerned about getting the happy juice, is what they called it, which kind of relaxes you in the pre-op place before they give you an IV.
Did they offer you some?
Well, Christy asked for some because she was pretty anxious at the moment.
But they didn't do that. They don't give it
to
the
not.
parents.
They did not give her or me any of the happy juice.
They had that in the hotel, the hospital bar.
But I think Lily was just concerned about what's it gonna feel like, because she was told that she wouldn't remember stuff at a certain point. So what's it feel like to stop being able to remember?
It's like nothing at all.
It doesn't feel like anything at all. You don't remember. And so then they gave her the IV, and then they said, we're gonna wheel you into surgery, and Mom and Dad, you can walk with us till we get to we came to these doors that were, in my memory, they were orange, so I guess they were orange. I didn't take that happy juice. I think I remember.
In my memory, They were what they actually
different,
are.
They were alarmingly colored doors that we were not allowed to go through.
That's why they're orange.
And then the nurses who were wheeling her in said, okay, this is where you have the hugs and kisses. Because they didn't want to say, this is where you say goodbye, because that would be really morbid and tap right into our fears that we were saying goodbye.
Right, because there's what, like a 1 in 1,000, I don't know, so a small chance. It happens to somebody. People go under for general anesthesia and they don't wake up.
Well, there's risk of paralysis and or death. I mean, I had to sign a form that spelled literally pointed all these things out. Like is very, very unlikely, but she could die, she could be paralyzed. It's like freaking scary. We didn't do it right before that. We did it months before that moment. They
don't put too much on you at once.
Yeah, I didn't want to, but even in that moment, that was a very difficult moment when we were saying, kissing her and hugging her and saying, all right, we'll be waiting. And that, because you don't know when the toughest point's gonna be. Because you knew the surgery was gonna last a long time, but I'll say after the fact, that was definitely in the top 3, maybe the worst point when it's like, okay, you're actually saying, I'll see you on the other side of this surgery. So that was pretty difficult, but then they whisk her away and they whisk us into an elevator and down into the waiting room, and they give you a pager so you can walk around, kind of like at a restaurant type pager. But then they have screens up there that have her number. They don't have her name, so no one else will know where this person is. So she had her number, and like you're just constantly looking up there waiting, and it was 6.5 hours of waiting.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I mean, the surgery was actually, we come to find out later, they started the surgery late. So the actual surgery was 5 hours. But we were out there waiting, and all that the board told us was she was in the operating room or pre-op, which she had already passed that. She was in the operating room, according to that screen, for 6.5 hours. And then they moved her to recovery, and that's when we could go see her. And they came out every 3 hours and said, everything's going okay.
But every time they come out, you're like,
really? I mean,
what are they gonna say?
Yeah, it's like that moment when somebody comes, and there was just a receptionist that they would call, and the receptionist would relay it. And I thought if something was really going wrong, someone else would come out. So I found ways to take comfort in like my interpretation of how they would do things, and if they were going wrong, that were different than how they actually told me. But that 6.5 hours, I mean, because, you were there, we had other friends there. I mean, it was extremely helpful to, pass the time. Like Christy had friends who brought like a cheese plate, and it's like,
gotta have a cheese plate.
It had the semblance of a party.
Charcuterie.
We were like offering some charcuterie to other people there because other people's kids are in there too.
Everybody needs charcuterie.
There was another number who was waiting for 7 hours. It's not like we were the only people going through something this scary. And then we finally met with the doctor, and he said everything went great. They straightened her out. He said, we actually went too far and then had to come back a little bit. I'm like,
overcorrection.
Well, there's an art to it, apparently. You're bending these rods manually. You got a freaking blacksmith in there, ding, ding,
yeah,
ding,
it's very hot.
heating up the thing, and there may be horses in there too. I don't know.
I doubt it.
There's a reason they don't let me in there.
You would have
I don't want to see the blacksmith or bump anybody.
The risk of you getting injured by being in the operating room was significantly higher than the risk to Lily.
Well,
Just your presence there.
If you mention an IV or blood, I'm probably gonna faint.
Right.
Like Lily was laughing at me half the time when they were every time they talk about the IV, or the doctor said everything went great, and then we go back there. I mean, like her face is all swollen, her lips are swollen. It looked like she had like some sort of plastic surgery. Like,
well, maybe they threw in a freebie.
You give her a lip enlargement for free, or are you gonna charge me for that?
Kylie package.
But it was because she's face down for 5 hours while they're doing this surgery.
But was it face down on like a massage donut or something?
Well, he didn't let me in. I don't know. I didn't ask that question.
But it had to be something that
was on something.
It wasn't like just put her face down in a pillow.
They wouldn't suffocate her. Yeah, I imagine that it was like a massage table donut.
But just being in the same position for 6 hours without moving alone is enough to.
And she was very groggy. She said before we went back there, her legs were moving around so much, which is a great sign.
Well, I'd say so.
Yeah, but they were moving so much they had to sedate her more because she was moving around too much because she was disoriented.
Right.
So by the time we saw her, she was like more sedated, and it took her, an hour before we were able to have a conversation. And we told her, "You're back straight," and like she started crying, and the anesthesia will it can make you really emotional. And I was like, "Are you okay?" She was like, "I'm just so happy." And it was great, that like, that was her first reaction, was like tears of joy that like it worked. And by that night they moved her into the hospital bed. As a practice, they make you sit up the first night. She sat up, vomited what she was able to drink because she was on clear liquids. She was so weak. The next morning, they got her to stand up and take a few steps, which was extremely dramatic.
I saw that video.
Chris, I wasn't there for that because I
missed your daughter's first steps.
I was with the boys because it was important,
Excuses.
We both couldn't stay there the first night. I stayed with the boys, to be a support structure for them. And then I got there as soon as I could after getting them off to school, and then, so I missed that. But if I was there, I probably would have gotten vomited all over because she took 2 steps, vomited again, and then she had to get 2 units of blood over that day to get some sort of strength because of what she lost during the surgery. But then she really turned a corner after that. So then the next day, she was up walking. She had to do she had to demonstrate she could walk upstairs before she could come home. It's miraculous we talked to a woman from back in North Carolina who's a friend of ours who's 50 years old who went through the same surgery, and she said it took her a year to recover.
Oh yeah.
And it's gonna take Lily 6 weeks to recover.
Yeah, the age is such a significant thing.
I'm like, can you feel these titanium bars in your back? She's like, no, I kind of feel like she kind of turns like Batman. She can turn her neck, but she's not used to the way her muscles, the way her back sits yet,
I'm sure she's got a.
But she doesn't feel
you've got to heal completely before you're willing to start moving it around.
But she doesn't feel like the bars, and I'm not like poking on her back or anything.
I wouldn't suggest doing that for a while.
Yeah. But she made it. I think the final, a big milestone was when we got in the van leaving the hospital to come home, and we get in, she gets in the front seat with all her pillows, Chrissy's in the back seat, and I'm in the driver's seat. And I just had a flashback to the day we found out that she was gonna have to have surgery, like the first diagnosis, the story I told where we got back in the minivan and all 3 of us just cried. And I felt like it came full circle when we got in the minivan again, leaving the hospital for the first time, and we all looked at each other, and Lily was like, we did it. So, the first time in the minivan, it was like, we need to do this. I need this surgery. That was her take immediately. We had to be convinced it was the right thing to do. And then it was, at the end, it was like, we did it. And it's like, so I'll never forget that moment when we could breathe a sigh of relief and know that, okay, it was successful. And there's weeks of recovery ahead of us, but I'm so grateful to, of course, all the doctors and nurses. And I can do the Jimmy Kimmel thing, but I'm not going to. Where he mentioned all the doctors and nurses. And
well, you can mention the Children's Hospital.
Children's Hospital, LA, yeah.
Yeah.
Donate to them. I'll get on the Jimmy Kimmel wagon.
Do that.
I've done it, you should do it too. Yeah, but they do amazing work there, and yeah. It's not over, but for the most part it's over, so I wanted to give you the update, and that's it.
Well, we're glad that your bionic daughter is
she's part Wolverine and part vampire, getting other people's blood.
Well on her way to 100%.
Yeah, man. And now let's shift gears and get to something more intriguing and not related to the heaviness of back surgery. Now that that's behind us, bring Kevin in here.
But first, we're gonna take a short break to let you know about these not butter flavored but butter looking Ear Biscuits mason jars now available at rhettlink.com/store.
I'm saying they look like jars coated in biscuit batter, but with a 3-dimensional Ear Biscuit logo on the front, but it's not biscuit batter, it's just a jar. You can put anything in it,
it's ceramic,
including biscuit batter.
It holds liquids. We currently have liquids in here. The liquid that I'm drinking today is water. Also, Ear Biscuits is brought to you by water. They would do things like that on Sesame Street, remember that? Because they didn't have sponsors because it was like public.
Yeah.
Brought to you by water.
But that ain't us, brother.
This ain't public, man.
Water.
We haven't gone public yet, and when we do, this
water
still
just
gonna be
paid
the
for
same
that.
thing.
Get yours at rhettlink.com/store.
Yes, now on to the biscuit. So Kevin, did you have to travel for this? Are you coming back from a journey?
Only from my desk to here.
Okay.
You traversed the internet.
Yes.
I like to pretend that we sent you out.
We don't have that kind of budget, man.
But if this goes well, maybe we will.
Yeah, we could like
maybe we'll commission and like
Put you
send
up-
him forth.
like you wear all khaki.
I mean, I did watch a lot of History Channel, which usually makes me feel like I'm going to a place.
Oh yeah.
So in some way I did.
Do you like khaki?
I've
I've never seen you in much khaki.
I don't like khaki.
Like
no.
Stevie has that khaki onesie that she
Yeah.
wears, and she has like
She's
a ranger hat.
She's the only person I know besides cartoon characters that have khaki onesies.
You could do it, man.
But hell, listen, but we gotta say, if we start sending you out like, go forth, son, I definitely think you should wear a khaki onesie and it should be like a sponsorship deal.
I mean,
if you're a maker of
those male rompers.
if you're a maker
That's
of
happening.
a khaki onesie and and that you're willing to sponsor a trip,
It's a romp him.
let us know.
You've seen him.
Romp him?
A romp him, like
yeah,
a
yeah,
romp
yeah,
her,
yeah,
but
yeah.
for him.
Yeah, I've seen him.
I think as a treasure hunter, khaki shorts would be a given.
Yeah.
So I feel like I'd have to.
Pants. I think.
You might have to wear a
Maybe-
belt to make other treasure hunters think that you're wearing two different things.
Yeah.
Because you don't want other treasure hunters to know that you have a romper on. So you gotta wear a belt to separate.
I could do that.
So this is the world's longest running treasure hunt?
This is the world's longest running treasure hunt
Yes.
in history.
And you're part of it now.
I am part of it, yeah.
And are you gonna suck us into
I
it?
am. I'm not an expert by any means,
We don't need those.
Nope.
but I am well
Don't say
versed.
that.
I am an expert.
You are our
by all
expert.
means.
That's better. That's better. I'd believe you if you were wearing a khaki romp him. But
It sounds like a command. Romp him now.
I don't want to ask the follow-up question of what
Okay.
that means. So instead I'll ask, where do we start?
Set the stage.
I'm gonna tease you guys first.
Oh gosh.
Yes.
I have a teaser for this. But also, I just gotta say, I did Ear Biscuits on the other end
Yeah, you
for a
did.
year,
Yeah.
and
we
this-
we hired Kevin
yeah,
to produce Ear Biscuits.
Yeah.
That was
Yeah,
your
yeah.
first job with us.
Yep.
And then like between the researching of people and then we started branching out and doing other stuff, we saw like a burgeoning potential to move you over to Good Mythical Morning when Ear Biscuits slowed down.
and it was great. And this is the first time I've had a guest perspective coming in,
Yeah.
and I've done this so many times, and I got nervous coming in. And you know what it is? It's the dim lighting.
Yeah, the dim
That
lighting.
dim lighting.
You feel like you're being lulled into something where you're gonna be taken advantage
You do.
of.
I used to set the dim lighting.
Yeah. That's why you should have your romper on.
So we could romp you.
you start teasing us. You better be wearing that romper.
Lights get dim, you know you're gonna get romped.
Oh right. Okay,
Romp us.
let's move on.
You're doing the romping.
I'm doing the romping.
Yeah.
I'm gonna romp and tease right now.
Okay.
So this longest running treasure hunt,
Yeah.
I'm gonna tell you what it involves.
All
It
right.
involves a deep pit on a small island, a small haunted island,
Oh.
Ooh,
booby traps,
booby.
pirates, and conquistadors.
Mm-hmm.
It involves a pack of crazed dogs with fiery eyes,
What?
motorcycle daredevils,
Kevin.
a crow.
No, you didn't. You didn't bring a crow into this, did you? They're smart.
They are smart.
He's not making it up.
A U.S. president.
How's a president? Okay.
I'll tell you which one later. John Wayne. And quite possibly, but not actually, the Holy Grail.
But you spoiled that one. So
I
I'm
did
not
a little
hopeful.
bit.
You said not probably, or probably not.
No, but maybe.
Okay,
We'll
but
see.
maybe
We'll see.
leave the possibility open.
Yes. The best way to do this is from the beginning.
Okay.
So we're going to start from 1795. Okay.
All right.
Put yourself there. There's a island called Oak Island. It's off the coast of Nova Scotia, Canada, in the Atlantic Ocean.
There's one off in North Carolina too, but this is not that one.
It looks like the shape of a peanut, sort of. Now, in 1795, now this has a lot of history to it. Pirates, and they say it's haunted. The first settlers of the island believed it was haunted. There was always strange lights emitting from the island. There's a story about two fishermen in the 1800s that went exploring and they were never seen again. In 1795, a teenager named Daniel McGinnis saw some lights coming off the island. So he grabbed two of his buddies and they went out there exploring. Those two guys were John Smith and Anthony Vaughn. What they discovered was this. John Smith.
What a boring name.
Yeah. Anthony Vaughn's okay though.
That's why he didn't tease, and a guy named John Smith.
Yeah. But Daniel McGinnis and these two guys saw this circular depression in the ground and they thought something's under there. So they started digging. Okay. And they had to go get shovels and whatnot, but they started digging and they got 10 feet down. And after 10 feet, they hit a floor of oak logs. Now, Oak Island was called Oak Island because it used to be filled with oak trees. Okay. So maybe not that uncommon that they see a floor there, but they dig 10 feet down more to 20 feet.
These guys are digging like crazy.
They're digging.
That's a deep
With
hole.
shovels?
With shovels.
They broke through.
They broke through the wood floor.
Like an oak floor?
Yeah, like wood, oak floor, logs. Get through that 20 feet, there's another floor.
What?
They break through that. They go down to 30 feet, another wood floor. This time they're a little bit tired. They're 30 feet down. They're a little.
Like, do you have any idea how long this took?
It sounds like, days.
Yeah, it took a little while.
Weeks.
They were camping there for a while.
They were 30 feet down and they were in over their heads.
Kevin.
Yeah, well, they were already there at 10 feet.
I heard that on the History Channel. That wasn't me.
All credit to History Channel.
You will be a great dad one day.
I know, I'm practicing. So here's what they do. They decide, we're in over our heads. We need to get some help. They do, but it takes them 8 years.
Did they hide the hole or?
That's unclear.
8 years?
They must have because nobody else stumbled on it.
I mean, it is a little island in the middle of nowhere, essentially.
All right, so
Not like there's a lot of demand for this.
it seems like that you could make this up, but then did they prove this part of it?
They did. So what they did was 8 years later, they came back equipped with the Onslow Company. So the Onslow Company was just a company that believed in them, and they had a crew, and they had some money and some equipment. So they came out, they started digging, they got past that 30 mark, they got to 40 feet. Guess what was there?
Logs.
But there was also a layer of charcoal that was found.
What?
Kind of weird, right? Kind of weird, charcoal and logs.
Somebody camping down there.
Let's go to 50 feet.
Cooking. I mean, that you bury charcoal when you're like cooking a pig. The Hawaiians.
You think somebody's been cooking a pig,
Not that
digging
deep.
40 feet deep? But
Forget about
okay,
that
but
pig.
if you're on an if you're on an island, you go 40 feet deep. Aren't you hitting water table at some point?
Oh, we'll get there.
Okay.
Yeah.
all right.
But not yet.
50 feet deep. Another layer of logs, and this time, some putty on top.
Oh, it's definitely a barbecue at this point.
Buddy.
Some putty.
What's the diameter of this hole? When you're going 50 feet deep, this is like a huge hole. This is like a crater now.
It's a big, I have a picture,
Well,
but it's a big circle.
Well, you can dig, when you dig a well, you don't have to keep maintaining the slope when you dig if you're buttressing it properly.
Don't ask me.
I don't know what the word
You have the civil engineering degree.
Yeah, I took a whole class on hole digging.
That sounds right.
Buttressing is very important.
They buttress down to 60 feet.
Golly.
And down there, this is where it gets a little strange. Another floor, and there was some coconut fiber down there. Now, there isn't a coconut tree for 1,500 miles.
Coconut fiber.
Yes, coconut fiber. So coconut fiber, do a little research. Coconut fiber back in the day was used on ships, pirate ships, as something that they would line valuables with to protect it. So like they'd have a chest, they'd shove a bunch of coconut fiber in there and then put the valuable in there and close it up.
Like packing peanuts.
Like packing peanuts, exactly.
Pirate packing peanuts.
Exactly.
At this point, I would think that I was digging through a ship that had gotten buried sideways.
Yeah, or like a
oak boards every 10 feet. Like a ship that somehow got on its end and you were like digging through rooms.
So they're hoping
that's what it is, right?
But they're hoping at this point they're gonna strike treasure. I mean, that's
Yes.
why this company comes out there.
Yes.
Even before they're hitting coconut husks.
Right.
There's a company involved because they want some money.
That's right.
But there's not really indication
No.
that it's just a
It's just a mysterious hole.
wishful thinking.
Wishful thinking.
Let me ask one question.
Yes.
Without spoiling anything about where this is going. I
Okay.
don't want you to tell me anything about where this is going. But this aspect of it seems so crazy.
Right.
This aspect of it has been verified by modern day people, right?
Oh yeah. Yep.
Everything you've told us is true.
This isn't
Yes.
like these guys could just be making this up, but it's like, I mean, this isn't that long ago.
I asked that at 20 feet, by the way. And now you're asking at 60 feet. Yeah, I mean,
Well,
so it's,
I believe to 20 feet.
yeah, okay.
There's a lot of variables, but yeah, a lot of testing, a lot of professors involved in this, scientists.
Professors is good. Get the professors.
Professors is good.
Professors want to cut of that money too, man. Gold coins.
They don't get paid extra though. They have to give it to the school. If you find something as a professor, I think you have to put it in the library.
So they're 60 feet at this point.
60 feet. We're gonna skip down now to 90 feet. It gets more interesting at 90 feet because at 90 feet, they find the first real clue. It's a cement slab. It's actually not cement, it's a stone slab.
Looks like a headstone.
Maybe you can kind of describe that for the audio listeners here and see if you can translate it.
Well, it's two lines of, like symbols that are like triangles, circles with lines through them, an arrow.
Star, arrow, triangle, colons, percent signs, crosses.
One of those is theta.
I would
know
say
that
this
from-
is dingbats.
Yeah, web dings.
Yeah, well,
Web ding font.
yeah,
Yes.
and so this is, well, obviously somebody was on the internet or somebody, this was the beginning of Word,
Yeah, basically.
Microsoft Word.
A professor translated this, or at least there's a theory to his translation here.
Okay.
And what he believes this reads is 40 feet below, 2 million pounds are buried.
Yeah, yeah, you can see like
You see it?
40.
No, he can't.
No, I'm saying that like now that you said that, 40, yeah, see the triangle and the triangle, feet. This is that triangle and that triangle. I mean, yeah.
Yeah,
I don't see it, but how many pounds?
2 million pounds, 40 feet below.
And like that's money in England.
Yeah, and a
We're
lot
not
of
talking about like 2 million pounds of like
Dirt.
fat that some
or logs.
guy lipo sucked out of some big people.
2 million pounds of logs.
Now, side note
They're
about
not gonna
this.
stop now, especially when they find this.
And here's a little side note about this. John Smith, one of the 3 John Smith
Mhm.
dudes that went down there, he took this home and apparently put it in his fireplace. I don't know why, as a decoration or something, I'm not sure. So this is a replica they
Yeah,
made.
I was gonna say,
Yeah.
it does
Put it in his
look.
fireplace.
It almost looks like somebody
That's
just took
fishy.
It is fishy.
white out and
Yeah.
like drew on a slab. So
Yep.
it definitely seems replica-ish.
Fishy's good though, but let's keep going. So now they're at about the 110 foot area. So what this company does is they take this iron rod to start probing down lower, and they hit another kind of wood.
Mm-hmm.
So they're still hitting things. It was too dark at this point, but what they thought was they might have struck the treasure box. But it was dark, so they couldn't go down, kind of a cliffhanger. They all have to go home at night. They're very excited. They come back the next day, and this is where the drama kicks in.
Nothing's there.
No, it is there, and now this pit is filled with water.
What?
So, remember I told you earlier there's some booby traps involved up in this thing?
What?
Here comes the booby traps. Now, they didn't piece this all together until years later, but I'm going to tell you how these booby traps went. Whoever constructed this, they built a tunnel system underground. What they did was they built
So they found out what you're telling me now was proven later.
It was proven later. Yes.
So we have total, at this point in the story, we know that it was a booby trap.
Yes.
And they piped in water that would fill up the place when you reached a certain depth.
Yes, because what they did was when they prodded with that rod, they unlatched basically like a hydraulic door system that was built under there that opened up and water funneled into this thing. So when these guys had no idea.
At 110 feet.
110 feet, 100 to 110 feet down. These guys didn't know what it was, so they were using buckets and things trying to empty it, but it kept filling. So what they found out later was that whoever constructed this made these 5, by the coast they built a dam, and they had these 5 separate tunnels that all came together into one. And that one tunnel went down to the 110 mark feet down in this money pit, and it connected there so that if you struck it, you'd open it up and would fill with water and you couldn't go back down it again.
What?
Okay.
Man, if they wouldn't have gone home for the night, somebody probably would have drowned.
But
Could've.
all this stuff was built before 1795, and the idea of someone being able to drill a hole from the beach to, laterally to this place, the technology that would be required to do that just so you could bury a treasure,
Probably alien.
Could be. There's theories. We'll get to the
I'm
theories
sure the
at
aliens
the end.
have the technology. It's
Okay,
just a
I'm gonna
question of-
hold off.
Yeah, there's a lot of theories. I'll tell you some of them later. You can see which ones you like. They couldn't figure out what to do. They tried a lot of different things, couldn't figure it out, ran out of money.
So at that time, they did not know that this is what was happening.
Nope.
Because they could have gone, they could have gone to the other end and plugged it up, and they would have solved their problem, but they didn't know.
Had no idea. They tried everything they could to empty it. That didn't work. They even tried drilling down another hole next to it, and that ended up filling with water.
This is like a baby Jessica situation. Wasn't she the one that got caught in the well?
Yeah.
And they did the hole next to it?
They did the hole next to the hole, yeah.
Yeah.
Pulled her.
And then the same thing happened with the Colombian guys.
They're still feeding her.
No, she's
down
out. She's out now. She got out. I remember I saw it on television. I
had
had cried.
I had cried. You had cried?
I cried when Baby Jessica came out. You didn't cry?
I wasn't into it. It's like, all right, it's over. I wasn't following it. I'm not into like soap operas.
Well, it's real.
I don't know anything about it. But I do know
Kevin
that
doesn't even know about it.
I can tell you that they ran out of money and they abandoned their search, and 45 years went by with no other searches. So this thing sat filled with water for 45 years until 1849 when the Truro Company came in.
Mm-hmm.
This is the next company to come in and start digging around. They used, now there's a little math here. So what they did was they dropped I think they called it a pod auger.
Pot auger.
Let's call it that.
Yeah, we'll call it a pod auger.
So for years, how many years? Did you say?
45 years.
They were. I just imagine everybody was talking about this thing, and it went from like hearsay to myth to legend, and the implication is whoever gets down in there and finds the treasure gets it.
Yeah, but it's Canada. I mean, we're not talking about a lot of people. They don't get excited about much either. I mean, I think if this was like, in Mississippi, they'd all be really excited about it. But this is Nova Scotia.
They got better things to do, like chill out and be nice.
They already know that like money is not the key to happiness anyway. They're like, it's a lot of trouble to get down there. And then what do you get, You get 2 million pounds? Who cares? So I think you may be misunderstanding the amount of drama, but it is still cool.
It's cool, yeah.
But another company's dropping pods.
Another company is dropping pods, and here's what they discovered. They got back down to the same mark with a pod, and they went through 12 inches and they went through 4 inches of oak when they got down to the same point, and then they hit, and this is in the water past that tunnel, okay?
They didn't empty the thing.
No,
was somebody
not yet.
operating this thing?
Yes, it was like a hand.
It's a submarine vessel where they send you air or something like that.
So then
there was a guy down there.
He's a pod. He's in a pod with an auger.
Whoa,
pod auger.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
So then they got through 6 inches of spruce, and down to the 112 feet.
This is a wood lover's dream.
Yeah, your dream.
Yeah.
It was only clay, and then after that they retrieved. Now they're collecting things now. They got 2 pieces of gold metal links, like links on a chain.
Mm-hmm.
That comes up.
And are we at the 40 feet below the, like?
We're further now.
So they're actually before where they said that the clue said the 2 million.
They got further than that because they actually got down to 100. They thought between 154 and 161 foot level, there was a vault. That's what they thought it was. It was like a vault of wooden boxes, and they actually even penetrated through that. And below that was an iron plate that was impenetrable. They couldn't get through it, at least at that time. But they thought that they had hit the treasure there. So what happened after that was they came up empty-handed. They kept trying to plug the tunnel, like you said earlier, and they couldn't quite get it right. They couldn't get all. I think they found one of the 5 compartments and plugged it, but they couldn't figure out the whole system, and they couldn't get it fully plugged. So they also ran out of money.
Dang.
And the search ended there. So they retrieved a few things, got a little further. Everybody gets a little bit further as they go down.
Couple of gold links.
Yeah, a couple of gold links. And, there's a lot of little things that came up throughout this tunnel. I may forget some of them. I'm just trying to bring up the important ones that stuck with me.
Okay.
So now we're going to cover the next 100 years. We're coming pretty close
just bring
to
up
the future.
What stuck with you.
Exactly.
That's all we want.
Okay, so now we're going to cover 1861 to 1965. So we're going like the next 100 years. We're getting real close to current day.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we are.
Bunch of companies involved through random times. Oak Island Association, Oak Island Treasure Company.
Meanwhile, there are people. How inhabited is this island by the mid 1800s?
Not very, and that was something I was going to talk about a little later. But basically, the later and closer in time it got to now, the more trouble there was with ownership of the land, because people wanted to own the land to own the treasure.
Okay.
So there was a lot of trouble with that.
Okay.
But at this point, there was a company that started for the sole purpose of finding this stuff because they call themselves the Oak Island Treasure
Exactly.
Hunting Company or whatever.
Yeah, Oak Island Treasure Company.
Okay. What should we call ourselves? Well,
what do we do? How do we do it? Why do we do it?
Got it.
So I'm going to tell you some of their discoveries in this 100-year span, and then we're going to get to the deaths, because that's very important.
Yeah.
The deaths.
Nobody's died yet.
No, but they will. In 1897.
So when's the crow come into this?
Well, the crow is kind of a side note, but you'll like the crow.
Don't forget the crow.
I won't forget the crow.
You teased the crow.
So they found in 1897 a stone triangle that was off the coast that pointed directly toward the tunnel. Just another confirmation. Pirates, man. They were always finding these little things that kept them going. Like there's nothing there, but then they'd see a triangle that points to the hole, and they thought, there's something there. They also found a piece of sheepskin parchment. I want to show you guys this too. The sheepskin parchment had the letters V and I on it.
VI.
VI.
Is it sure it's not IV?
Nope.
Nope.
That's the Roman numeral 6.
They also
VI.
got to the point with technology with cameras.
They found this down in there?
Yeah,
a
they
parchment?
found that down in there. Parchment with the letter VI on it. That comes into play in a theory later I'll tell you about. So they lowered a camera down. They thought they found other things too, like a human hand, some tools.
We either find a human hand or you don't. I think I found a human hand.
It might be a prop.
Could be a prop. Could be a worker from the past. It's hard to pinpoint where these things are coming from.
A lot of hands, a lot of people.
But in that time, people died, okay? And this is important because the first 2 people that died were in the mid-1800s. One of them, a steam boiler, blew up.
I thought you were gonna say one of them, Steamboat Willie or something.
I don't know what his name was, but
Steam boiler blew up.
Steamboat Willie got blowed up by a steam boiler. Another guy fell down a shaft. Now, I don't know what shaft. They just said he fell down a shaft. I imagine it's the shaft or a shaft next to it that they dug.
Yeah.
But he fell and died. Now, I want to introduce you to the Restall family. Robert Restall and his wife, Mildred. Now, these were the motorcycle daredevils. That was their jobs by trade. That's what they did for a living. When they heard about this,
motorcycle daredevils.
They did
like Evil Knievel type.
Evil Knievel type.
On the mainland.
On the mainland, husband and wife.
Still Canadian though.
I believe so. Yeah.
Oh.
Although I'm not the expert here, but I am the expert.
Okay.
So
you're our expert.
I'm your expert. So they wanted a piece of the action. They thought, we're daredevils. We'll get in on this game.
Mm-hmm.
They moved their family out
frequent rationalization of things amongst motorcyclists.
Yeah, especially when you're a daredevil. They moved their family out there. They're out there for 6 years working on this. And there's you can see videos of them talking about how they're going to get to it. They're going to get the treasure.
So we're talking like the 60s at this point?
Yeah, this point is 1959 to 1965. Bingo. So unfortunately, it didn't pan out that way for Robert. In 1965, he was working on one of the pits and he breathed in some type of poisonous gas and he fell and he died. And his son ran after him to help him. He breathed in the gas
and died?
He died.
Oh,
Dang.
2 other workers ran after them
Breathed in the gas?
and they died.
Was it a booby trap or something they brought in?
No, this was just something from the excavation that, not sure what the gas, I can't.
Or the curse.
Or the curse.
At this point, they have to be saying there's a curse.
Yes.
The moral of the story is don't go in and try to save your dad.
That's right. Not unless he's a motorcycle daredevil, which he was. In which case you're right. Don't save your dad.
Hold your breath.
Yeah.
So okay, now remember, 6 people have died. Just got to remember that, okay? It's very important that you remember that 6 people died.
Yeah,
No.
VI.
man.
VI, 6 people died. I'm gonna come back to the 6
That's what
people
I'm
died.
saying. Roman numerals.
Now, I mentioned a couple of famous people got involved.
No, you didn't. Yes, you did.
Remember the president of the United States?
Yes.
You want to know which one it was?
In that time?
Well, it was earlier. It was in 1909. It was Franklin Roosevelt.
Okay.
So he was all excited by this. So he bought into some stock for one of the treasure searching companies. I don't know if it was the one or a different one. And he actually went out there twice to be part of the excavation. There's a picture of him.
FDR.
FDR, yeah. Trip on that, huh?
Looking
And then
for a new deal.
and then John Wayne went out there looking for a new deal. And
It's right up his alley, man.
Yeah, actually-
Well, I could go up there and find me some treasure.
John Wayne is from, side note, he went to school in my hometown of Lancaster, California.
Really?
Yeah.
You met any of his relatives?
None of them, not one. Apparently he used to talk highly of it, which is weird because I never do.
So also,
I just dropped out.
Me too.
Did you hear
I
anything?
just lost my audio.
I like laughed so loud we lost it. It was like a shock to my system too.
Is this still working?
Oh, it's back.
there it
We're
goes.
back. We're
Okay,
back.
we're
It's
back.
sca-
Did anything
I
change
thought-
back there?
Hey, okay, Megan's saying everything's good. God, I thought the curse had hit us.
Well,
guys.
that happens.
like hold your breath. Is
Like
there-
when I was watching The Ring that time, and right at the moment where she was about to come out of the TV, the whole entertainment system went down.
Whoa.
And me and my father-in-law ran across the house to be with my mother-in-law.
It went out again.
It went out again.
Dude, it's
happening.
it's the curse. Jiggle some
Are you
wires,
seeing
man.
anything over there, Maggie, when that happens?
Jiggle wires.
Or is it just us on this side?
It's that thing. It's the short on the thing. Oh my gosh, guys.
Uh-oh.
I'm kind of getting freaked out. I don't think
Well, if
These
one of us
6 people-
if one of us dies, I'm not sticking around. I'm leaving. I'm not gonna make the same mistake.
Well-
unless you're the one who dies.
If one of us dies, then the rest of us need
Here
to
it
go
comes.
to Oak Island.
Is it coming back?
No.
Nothing, I got
I
nothing.
think these 6 people are here, guys. Check it.
Check,
Here it
check.
comes.
I'm getting freaked
Oh,
out.
nope.
I'm getting freaked
There
out.
is a teeny little difference between that
Yeah,
and this. So there's
There
nothing
is,
there,
yeah.
and then I cut this on, and you get a teeny bit.
yeah,
You know
you do
what?
get a little.
If you're 100% sure that we're good, that you're still reading, we'll just take these off. Keep going.
Yeah,
I think it's this baby.
yeah, probably.
The Oak Island curse has hit our.
I don't think it can cross the border.
Unless it's through a podcast. Perhaps it can.
It's through the internet, man.
Maybe the aliens who are the ones who set this up, they don't like it when you start talking about this, and they
Have
have
you
a way
experienced-
of controlling our technology.
Any sort of resistance in while researching this? Or has it been smooth sailing?
I got real tired last night.
I got real tired, man. Of course, it was late, and I've been working on this a long
They're
time.
wearing you down.
Yeah, wore me down a little bit. The thing is the Oak Island money pit, no money has come out of it. All the money's gone into it.
Right.
That's why it's the money pit.
Uh-huh.
Oh, so what
Yes.
happened to the 6? Where are
Okay, so here we are.
we? We're not gonna take bad headphones for an answer, cursed ghosts.
No, we won't,
We're
but-
pressing on.
There is a lot of people do believe in a curse, including the History Channel, and that's going to be coming up here on the close. But these 6 people died. Keep that in mind. Told you about Roosevelt and John Wayne. So this brings us up to pretty much current time. I told you there was some battle for the land. They realized not long ago that the only real way to make money off of this island was
Tourism.
Yes, exactly. And then it became a battle of who owned the land to collect in on that tourism. So in 2006, 2 brothers essentially took hold of the entire island. These dudes' names were...
They're listening to this right now.
Yeah, they probably are.
They're listening to this live, and they're the ones that tapped into this.
I'm so on edge right now. Like I'm like freaked out. And when you're like, they're listening, I thought you were talking about the ghosts.
Well, but I mean, I don't mean to tempt fate or anything, but all they did is take our headphones out. I mean, we're still talking.
Yeah.
We're still on the internet.
It was a warning.
I mean, if like a fire broke out in here right now, that would be, or one of you guys dropped dead. Of course, like I told you before, one of you drops dead, I'm Audi 5000.
If one of you drops dead, I'm going to Oak Island. I'm gonna tell you why. Because the theory is...
You didn't skip the crow, did you?
I didn't skip the crow.
Good. Don't forget about the crow.
The crow's gonna be a letdown because there's not much about the crow. the best thing about the crow is the teaser at the top. So the theory is that the only way the treasure is gonna be found in Oak Island is once all of two variables. All of the oak trees are gone, and all of them are gone. And the second variable is 7 people must die.
Ooh.
So
because 6 is an incomplete number.
6 is an incomplete number.
You know that 6 can never be the end. You got to get to 7.
That's right. So we're one death away from finding that treasure. Okay. Now, we may as well get into the other theories because we're caught up to about present day. I mentioned the brothers. Their names are Mark and Riddy. Mark and Marty and Rick.
I like when it was Riddy. Better. Mark and Riddy.
Mark and Riddy.
Mark and Rick.
Lagina.
Now, if you
get their name,
but they're selling tickets to this place.
Well,
so you can go and you can visit.
No, they're gonna one up you on this. That you can, but they have a show on the History Channel about this place.
They have a whole show.
They have a whole show.
Oh gosh, they'll give
4 seasons of a show, hunting for this treasure. I think it's called The Curse of Oak Island. I believe. I've seen some of it. Haven't seen all of it.
Oh.
They're brothers. They never intended to be reality stars.
They got 4 seasons out of this?
4 seasons.
And it's still going?
It's still going, and apparently people are hooked. Someone out there, Morgan was telling me that his dad or his wife's dad or something, every time he talks to him is always say, hey, did you see the mystery of the Cursed Island?
But is it
whatever the heck it's called?
They're like following it.
Yeah, he's following it along.
But it's these 2 brothers who are like, it's them dealing with owning this thing and that kind of thing. So it's a reality show about those guys.
Reality show about them, their crew, some other people, treasure hunters who are digging down, finding clues, and they're determined to bring up the treasure. So they're the most recent team of people, and they gave them a show.
Okay, and so again, it's like, just like you said, the money pit, the fact that this thing exists is generating income for these guys now.
Yes, now it is.
Probably 2 million pounds when you convert it all up.
That's right. Apparently, I read the number as high as 10 million was put into over the years of trying to find this treasure. It could be between 2 and 10. It was probably more likely on the higher end because a lot of these people put a lot of money into this. But yeah, these guys are making money now off of this.
So what is the status of what technology are they using? Like eventually, you said something about an iron plate at some point.
Right.
So how far are they down? Is it still filled with water? Have they completely plugged the flooding parts?
Yeah, at some stage they were able to. I think what they did was blow up those tunnels. They with some dynamite or something blew them up,
filled them in,
collapsed them in, and they were able to extract the water and keep digging. They got past that iron plate. I'm not sure how far they've gotten. I think this map here is outdated because I think this one goes down to 212 feet.
Okay, so they're through the water table at this point.
They're through that plate. They're through the water table there, and I guess there's even some water deep down buried beneath it. But they've gotten far through it. No actual treasure chest has come up. They still believe that something is down there because who would go to all these great lengths to do this unless it's an elaborate prank?
But they've gotten below where the headstone that the guy put in his fireplace said it was gonna be. And they found there was an oak chest with parchment just below 150 feet. You know, so it seems like, but it was empty?
Right. Well, what they think, there's a lot of theories.
Pirate prank.
Yeah, could be a pirate prank. But there's a lot of theories. I'm gonna go through some of the theories with you guys to see if any of them stick.
Okay.
And again, these are all theories. So one of them is that, besides what's in there, I told you about the deaths and I told you about the oak trees. Another guy said that on the History Channel that a pack of wild dogs with those fiery eyes has been seen on the island, and they protect the pit. Also, a
I
crow.
don't believe that part.
A crow who
He's talking about the crow now.
who embodies a spirit of some ancient figure, watches over the pit.
John Wayne.
Maybe I told you it was a bit of a letdown. I didn't mean to get your hopes up about the crow.
So there's a
John Wayne is the
there's
crow.
a possessed crow
a possessed crow
and
rabid
possessed
dogs.
Dog.
Yes.
John Wayne was found with like 40 pounds of impacted fecal matter in his inside of his
Was he
body
really?
when he died. Yeah, that's what I heard on one of those.
Oh.
I heard that on like one of those late night infomercials for some fiber product.
They're like,
Do you know that John Wayne was found with 40 pounds of impacted fecal matter in his body? It later turned into a crow. That
I hope his family's getting a piece of that.
that guards.
I mean the money, not the fecal matter.
Okay, so but that's
You can't make claims like that and not to sell a product and not pay John Wayne's estate.
yeah. I got a hat with John Wayne on it. Wore it
And I bet he
yesterday.
got a piece of that.
Yeah. His estate.
His
does.
estate
Yeah.
did.
Yeah, I like John Wayne too. So then let's get to the theories about the treasure. There's one of the most common theory I think of the Canadians and the Islanders up there is that it's buried pirate treasure, specifically Captain Kidd.
Captain Kidd.
With two
Captain
Ds.
Kidd with 2 Ds. I don't really know much about Captain Kidd.
He's a good hole digger.
Yeah, he's a good old digger, if it's
Man.
his.
I mean,
Buried treasure. There's a reason why you associate
Yeah, but this-
pirates with buried treasure
I know,
because they
but-
buried treasure.
yeah, but they didn't bury it this deep on
How do you
on
know
the
how deep?
on the reg, because you don't have to. Why
it
would
might
you
have. It
bury
could have been
this deep?
very special.
But seriously, what I'm trying to wrap my mind around is maybe I'm wrong about assuming how difficult it would be to do this, because let me just start by saying they did dig wells. I mean, they dug wells thousands of years ago. So people can dig. Let's just start with a fact. People can dig.
Yeah.
In the 1700s, 1600s, whatever, people were capable of digging. And if you could dig a well all the way down to this area, which if this was a well at some point for somebody,
Right.
then they were like, hey, let's fill in that well. Oh, whoa, I got an idea.
That's Rhett's theory.
Let's fill the well in, but as we go, we'll do some crazy stuff and put in hey, throw in Earl's hand. I know it came off. Is it still out? Yeah, throw it in there. Let's confuse the crap out of some people, put some weird stuff in there just for funsies.
It's a lot of trouble.
It's a lot to
dig
dig
trouble.
these booby trap tunnels.
Well, let me just finish my theory. So that makes sense in terms of why you would never dig down to do this, but if you already dug down for water purposes, you may go through all this effort for funsies just going up. But you're right, the one big hole, actually 5 big holes in my theories, are the 5 tunnels that come in from the side, because that, my friends, is very difficult to do, especially in that kind of sandy soil that you would think was very difficult to buttress is the correct word.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Those side tunnels.
I know.
Okay, keep
That's
going.
the trippy part. There might be an explanation for it in one guy's theory, which is that, and this is one of the more creative ones. You ever heard the idea that Shakespeare didn't write his plays?
Yeah.
That
And he wasn't a person.
or that he was not smart enough to write them, and
He just put his name on there.
yeah, and Sir Francis Bacon wrote the plays.
Didn't know about that.
That's one of the theories. So there's this professor, I think her name is Dr. Ruth from Iowa State University.
Okay, I know what she knows about.
And she says that
She knows about different holes.
Different Ruth, different holes.
Yeah.
that might not even be her name. I think it is. She says that VI that I brought up earlier,
Yeah.
that was that sheepskin parchment. She said, I bet there's mercury down there too, when she heard that was dug up. And the reason why was because apparently mercury was used to preserve things. And I guess they did find mercury all over that island. And she said that she knew that because Sir Francis Bacon wrote a lot back in that time about how he used mercury to preserve things. So what she believed, jumping to those conclusions, was that all the manuscripts that Sir Francis Bacon wrote is what's buried down there to prove that he's actually the real Shakespeare.
In Nova Scotia?
In Nova Scotia.
Sir
The real
Francis
Shakespeare?
Bacon?
And apparently he was like the best scientist of the time, so that she was like, well, of course he could devise all these tunnels and all these crazy contraptions. He's smart.
And the only external clues are that triangle that's out in the ocean?
There was other little ones too that they found along the way, but the question is, were they always there?
Right.
They put them there?
Right, because if that theory is true,
right,
then he wanted this to be found, right?
Right.
And you gotta go deeper than just a sunken depression on a weird island off of the coast of Canada. You gotta, in other words, I think that there would be evidence in his writings.
Right.
That later, so people looked into that?
Maybe. Obviously, I don't know the answer to that question.
You're not.
So.
You're not working for the History Channel. You work for Mythical Entertainment.
Exactly.
What I mean, what are the other theories, and what's your pick? Because I've got a theory.
One I like a lot is that this was constructed by the Knights Templar. The Knights Templar were kind of like Illuminati. Kinda, yeah, but back in the day when they first started, they were like a military religious thing that eventually turned into kind of what the Freemasons are today. But there's a lot of history about them with treasure and the Holy Grail, and they buried treasure, and they were known to frequent these parts. And so one of the theories here said that the Knights Templar have been linked to the Mystery of Oak Island by many, primarily because historical records suggest that they had both motive and means to deposit treasure in the money pit. And this is their connection with the Holy Land, prompting speculation of untold wealth in the form of the Holy Grail. So people think the Holy Grail's down there.
Could be, but probably not.
But probably not.
Could be, but probably not.
Again, I mean, I think that someone started digging a hole and then they just started, it was just, let's perpetuate this prank. I think people came in iteratively in trying to find treasure and dug further, and then when they didn't find anything, they perpetuated the myth to make it a money pit for other people, to try to find something that wasn't there.
But who put the stuff there to begin with?
So there was like a little shallow something. Over time, people
Hold on.
were digging for something.
No, physically think about what you're suggesting.
Yeah,
you're thinking that somebody dug and they fill it back in, then somebody dug a little bit further, then filled it back in. No,
a bunch of people.
That's the worst theory I've ever heard in my life.
When you listen, the History Channel. Let's start there. They got 4 seasons out of this thing.
Right.
What they don't want to find.
These people didn't know about
drama.
the History Channel.
I'm starting with the most recent.
You saying the History Channel people went back in time? No, I believe that. History Channel was like, listen, we're struggling.
All right,
we got to send somebody back in time.
I'll let go of my iterative theory,
to dig a big hole, because that doesn't make any sense. This was a one-time thing.
The people now don't want to find treasure. They want to have more seasons of a television show and make money in the only way they believe they actually can, which is not finding anything, but making everyone else think
the History Channel,
they're gonna find something.
The History Channel has the treasure.
They might have the treasure.
If the treasure exists,
they found
the History Channel
and
found
they're covering it up.
Without a doubt.
By not.
I mean, it's 200 feet deep.
Right.
It's several, it's what, 10 feet wide, whatever. I mean, at this point, guys, you don't have to, I mean, me and you could go down there in a couple of Speedos and start moving around and find something, you know what I'm saying? It's like, send us down there for a couple of weeks, we'll come back with something.
I don't wanna wear a Speedo, I get all scuffed up.
Well, we'll wear
I'll wear a romper.
A romper. Waterproof.
Yes. Safari.
Like a wetsuit romper.
Man.
I can legitimize his theory a little bit though.
Do it.
I will. And a couple quick ones. It's a coffin is another theory. One guy said he thinks it's just a sinkhole. But
what do you mean a coffin, like a burial
Yeah,
shaft?
like a burial. Yeah, like it was a tomb. The brothers, and this is kind of the last thing I had here for you guys. The guys that host this show, 4 seasons strong. I guess it's more popular than ever now. They were on Colbert earlier in the year, I believe. I saw an article. They said they're gonna get that treasure, but if you want to figure out what it is, you got to tune into season 5.
Yeah.
So Link might be onto something here, man.
Why would they find it in season 5?
I completely believe that they know they found the treasure before they bought the land. They found the treasure. They were like, they got this idea. They talked to History Channel. They're like, reality TV, especially 2006. That's when reality TV was the future.
Oh yeah.
The writer's strike was around that time. The first writer's strike, right? Or one of the writer's strikes. 2007. It doesn't time out exactly, but you know what I mean.
If it wasn't for those booby trap tunnels, which what I was trying to say was they were dug later in order to legitimize a continued search.
That's feasible.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to say.
That's definitely feasible.
Because that's the only thing we really gotta explain is these tunnels. Like someone digging a hole and then
What we really need is somebody with a civil engineering degree to like contemplate this.
Yeah, we don't know anybody.
And some khakis.
Yeah.
Man, I mean, I can't say that I'm gonna watch the show. I feel like I got my money's worth in this Ear Biscuit, man. That's what we do for the people. It's
That's
like
right.
we sum up seasons of reality TV and all of the commercials you gotta endure.
No, I think
and
people
all of like the teasers before
there's
the
a lot of
commercials.
people who are gonna go watch that show now. Those guys should be thanking us. Thank you. We welcome brothers.
You know what? We invite the brothers on our show.
Yeah, let's get
You've
these
been
brothers
Cold
on here.
Burt,
Yeah.
Come on our show.
What I will say is that what this inspires me to do is I think that we should set our sights on a late in life project similar to this.
I love digging a good hole.
We're gonna be so bored with everything, man. Let's just make a pact right now. If we make it to, if we're still alive at 75, which hopefully we will be. That's not too old, right?
That's the whole digging prime then.
No. We'll hire some young
Bucks.
guys, some young bucks. Put them in Speedos. It won't be like that.
Rompims.
Put them all in rompers.
Wear this rompim.
And have them do it, but it'll be our brain children. And
It'll be
we'll
full
do
of
it,
booby
and we'll
traps.
leave a legacy, man. That'll be our legacy. That'll be the legacy that we live is a big old hole. We'll go 400 feet deep. Think of the technology. Think of all the things we can. We'll put crows inside cages
they're so
along
smart.
the way,
They can talk. You can teach them to talk.
and give them little fly tunnels from the side.
And you know what? It
Of course,
will
we're
be
giving
a,
away. We're setting it up right now. We're
it
saying
will
that we're
be a
gonna do it.
reality television show, but it'll be a reality competition show
Yeah.
because you booby trap that stuff. What's that like? Indiana Jones, man.
Yeah.
I'm talking boulders rolling out, like darts going through.
People gonna die.
People are gonna die. They're gonna sign a waiver first, and we're gonna film it all.
We're gonna set up
GoPros
We're gonna set
everywhere.
up cameras as we go down. Well, we should put the wiring in. It'll all be wireless. Here's the one. Just a couple of requests
Right.
at this point. I want
Wi-Fi
it to be like
out the wazoo.
I don't want it to be a straight hole. I want it to be like a crazy straw. You know, we're gonna go down. We're gonna
I'm
go
saying-
back up, sideways, curly
I'm saying
Q.
we're building obstacle course, treasure hunt things that's life or death situations
I'm on the same
around
page,
the
man.
world, and we're creating seasons and seasons of shows for Spike.
But
I
we
don't know.
can't. Whatever it'll be that point. But we cannot tell people where these are gonna be. I can safely say there won't be any in Nova Scotia. Not interested.
Well, they've already dug a hole.
Yeah,
We could use that.
It's always been. No.
Production value.
No, that's just the beginning of one of our holes, man. Our holes are deep.
So much bigger.
And big and go all kinds of
Am
different
I in on this with you guys?
No.
Or? Okay.
Yeah,
Sorry.
yeah, Kevin, if
Yeah.
you're still around too, yeah.
you can be like
One of the
Jeff Probst.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you can host the show.
Yeah.
You'll be old, man.
Dang, he's legitimately like one of my favorite hosts on
Yeah,
television.
yeah. Well, if he's not available, you can.
I got real excited when you said that just now. You could be Jeff Probst. I got way more excited than I should have.
Yeah.
probably.
I mean, you have to drag out the dead bodies, but it'll be awesome.
And in the least, if we don't do that grand plan, we should at least like hide like a USB drive in some city somewhere. You know, that
So
might
this
be
now
a little
just
more.
all got boiled down to geocaching. All right,
Let's just
Kevin,
get in.
this has been exciting.
Let's just get into geocaching.
Man,
that's
those-
more realistic.
Those teasers paid off.
Yeah, man.
I might have to go to Nova Scotia.
Yeah, well, go during the summer.
Cold down in that hole. And there you have it, our intriguing biscuit with Kevin.
Yeah.
Kevin, Mythical Crew. Kevin did a good job, man. He brought the intrigue.
He went deep.
He started with
man.
some teasers, then he dug deep for that one.
Yes, he did.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very. I don't know. This is the kind of thing I'm going to be thinking about. I'm going to be thinking about it when I go to bed tonight. I'm going to be thinking about that hole in the ground and just wondering what if I was there right now.
I enjoyed the conversation, but you
you're
know
not
what?
going to be thinking about it.
I'm gonna tuck it away and I'm just gonna, I think about the back of my eyelids when I go to sleep. I just zone out and just like relax,
well,
baby.
you leave the thinking to me. That's cool.
while you're sleeping. I don't need you to think for me while I'm sleeping.
No, but just like while you're about to go to sleep.
All right, if you got any thoughts that you want to send our way, let us know using hashtag Ear Biscuits wherever hashtags are found, because we value the conversation, we value your feedback. Also, reviews on iTunes are
Yes.
extremely helpful. So Give us that review, y'all.
And if you found this conversation intriguing and interesting, you are going to like the Book of Mythicality, again, available for pre-order at bookofmythicality.com. These kinds of tidbits that spark your curiosity, the book's full of them. Personal stuff and stuff that we just find personally interesting. So bookofmythicality.com, get it while the getting's good.
And we'll be speaking at you next week, Mythical Beasts. Love ya. I wanted to say love ya.
Well, I think we cut before that.
We actually didn't though.
Okay, love you.